All right, so we're going to, utility site work recommendation, potential change order for RAC Building Incorporated.
So you have a little summary sheet here, 2 change orders tonight that we're looking at. Change order number 2, PCO number 002 for the sewer and electric utilities. We've pulled the water out of that because we're going to a redesign of the water service main with the fire department and the water department. Right now there's been some question over how each main is run, where the fire main branches off, the fire service branches off the water main, where the hydrant's located, where the post indicator valve is located, where the maintenance and service valves are. So we've pulled that out of what was the larger change order. The culvert we broke out separately because drainage is a separate request and has been on its own request for quite some time. So you have backup with your packet with your summary. The first one being PCO number 2 for the drainage. This is the large culvert that runs along Route 12. It is probably 7-8 feet below the road level, so you need equipment that can reach that 7 or 8 down to 10 or 11 feet to dig that out. Install an 18-inch culvert the entire length, head wall at one end, outflow and deep detention basin at the other. So that total cost with the contractor's markup on it by contract and a bond that he has to carry on the project is $13,950.
So, Tony, just on that,
Yep.
this is what confused us last week, with that yellow sticker we had.
Yep.
So what did it say, or that form, that number's there? What was that number from RAC? Was it 13,000?
13,950. That one has not changed.
No, it hasn't.
And it was, I think the price from the 2 contractors that we had were like 13,000 and 13,200. So they were virtually the same number.
So that's what that one said.
That is this yellow drain line, the entire length of the site.
So there is no other contractors we were talking about going through the DPW?
We had 2 contractors for the same money,
Same.
and you would then have to take on the liability of that work.
Okay.
Yep. However you'd like.
Well, I think the total is what confused us last week.
I want to make sure we get this total before we go to the
Okay.
It was 92,000.
Yes.
The rest of it
So the next pages in your little handout is where the 78,525 came from. Now that is the number that you were looking at. So that 78,525 plus the 13 that we just talked about, 13,950, gets you to the 92, right?
But we're taking
475.
We're taking out the water.
Right, but I'm trying to
Oh, okay.
explain. That 78 is that 78, 13,950 is 13,950.
So the next page on the thing was this. That's not the page you're talking about. This was the next one.
Yeah, that's the subs backup for that.
That goes with this one?
Yeah.
This is the next one? The 78,525?
Correct.
Over the line through?
Yeah. Because that 78,525 that you talked about last week had the water line in it. And now we've pulled the water line out because it's being redesigned.
And that was $47,000.
Correct. So on the next page, that 78,525 was made up of 3 items: sewer, water, and electric service. So we've taken care of drainage, we've talked about drainage culvert. Now we're left with 3 other utility services: sewer, water, and electric. First one is the sewer, $28,099. That one has stayed the same.
And that was also fairly close
That
to
was
what?
like 26 and change.
26.5, something like that. That was
So
pretty close.
they were virtually the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony, just so you know, the numbers that you're getting from your subcontractors don't add up to the totals. That's the problem we're in as well. If I take all the numbers you've got here, it comes to 71,134, not 78,521.
The numbers from the subs plus his markups don't add up?
No. We're off by about a little over $7,000.
Okay, can we just do the three differences, see what they add up to? Because there's one more. You got these, 28,099, 13,950, there should be one more.
2,500?
Was that
Because the water we're holding off on the water right now.
yeah,
So the first one is the sewer.
yeah.
24, 26.
44,549.
That's what they meant for the night.
Yeah. So you have 35,9950 is right, the 13,950 is right.
Very good. 13,950, you get 28,099, and 2,500. Are we missing something?
Well, the 28,099 and the 2,500 are in this line item 235.99.
Was it?
28,099.
Yes.
So
Plus
that adds up.
2,500 is 35.99, just what we said.
30,599. Okay.
So the error is going to be with the other contracts.
So where's that come on?
So let's take one system at a time.
Okay.
The sewer system is 28,099.
Yeah.
Math adds up.
Yeah.
The scope matches what's on the plan. It taps in at the street, creates a street trench in Route 12, brings the sewer line all the way up and connects to within 10 feet of the building. It's 28,099.50. The math adds up.
And that's another sheet.
That's this sheet.
The green line.
Yeah,
What did it say in the little square box?
28,099.50. The next phase of that, page 2, is the water line. We're taking that completely out of the picture because the entire water line and fire service, which is part of that water service, is being redesigned. I did in fact get a new sketch today from the fire chief, agreed to by the water department on how they want that reconfigured. It's been sent over to the architect. He'll prepare an official sketch, send it for repricing. We'll probably have that in a couple of days, the holiday sometime next week. The contractor is not concerned about it because he doesn't plan on getting the work or having to bring water in anytime soon. So there's no rush. We're not creating a delay by not giving them water service. It's fine, and we're holding off on that scope of work. The next one is the electric line. The price was $56,665, $5,665. You'll notice that I circled the 290 feet of electrical trenching. That 290 feet consisted on this plan of the pink from the riser pole that was dropped by the town into, set the transformer pad, then come out of the transformer pad and all the way to the building, to the generator location. What I clarified with the contractor, and I didn't get a new proposal from him, is that all of this work as the underground electric line is called for on the bid package as by the contractor. So the only thing the town was going to do was drop the pole, bring the electric service in, drop the pad and the transformer, and the contractor already owned it. So I said, let's just call that half, $2,500. You're good. He's good. We're good. So I marked that down from the $5,665 to $2,500. So that's the pink one. That says $2,500, which is basically half of the proposal. Not quite half, but he's okay with it. So then I took the $28,099.50 and added the $2,500. hopefully.
And the 13,950?
Well, I left that one separate.
Okay.
So the 28 and the 2,500 is 30,599.50. And then add the 13,950 to it if you want to vote them both as
45,529?
Just we got
plus 13,950, 44,549.50.
What'd you get? Did you get something?
Well, the difference in the totals here is the 21,114. We rejected credit for topsoil removal.
Well, yeah, so this cover spreadsheet is always going to show the total of whatever's in that column. So even though you rejected the 21, the total that the contractor has presented you is 46. But that's not what you're approving.
So we're gonna approve
$549.50.
So I make a motion, so we're gonna approve 13,950 for the,
$44,000.
the
The
culvert.
culvert drainage.
The motion, and then we're gonna ask to move 28,099.50 for the, that's for the sewer.
Yeah.
Sewer, and then 2,500 for the electrical that's not already included in the contract.
Correct.
That's the motion.
May second?
Second.
Can I ask one question before that?
Sure.
What is this CEC, 13,000, 13,200?
That's the other bid from another contract.
So we
No,
have-
that's the sub that's doing the work.
Okay,
That's his cost, and then RAC is the general contractor. He marks it up and puts the bonds and insurances on it.
so that's a 13 million.
That's included within
Oh,
the
okay, I got it,
13,950.
okay.
All right, motion second, anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're so good that we didn't slow them down enough.
Now what we have to talk about down the road
Is
is
the water.
when you redesign this area.
But he wasn't,
It's gonna go to bid, I mean, we're gonna ask the people to give us numbers on
and the contractor wasn't very worried, but he said it's not gonna happen
Yeah.
for a while.
He doesn't need water right away.
Is the nature of the changes that they're contemplating going to be notably more expensive, less expensive, or
Less.
just a redesign?
Ray, they had,
So- We had the water line coming in off the street all the way up, bringing a hydrant line for fire hydrant over here. This is being reduced back, so the hydrant's gonna just drop here outside the paved area of the parking lot. So that's gonna reduce that line in half. Then we had to branch off the entire, almost the full length of the building for the fire and the water. This line will go away, and really what you're gonna have here is just water, fire, and a couple of valves here. So
So wouldn't
we're
that have
gonna
been
open-
obvious when they designed it originally?
NFPA requires at the point of that post indicator valve, it actually reads that the fire contractor, the sprinkler contractor, owns from the connection at the main. So first you've got to get your fire department to agree, where is the main? If they wanted to say it's out in the street, then this line would have been extended even further. In earlier conversations, the chief had said, look, bring the main in, wherever you branch off, and put the post indicator valve and the hydrant, that's where we'll say the main starts. So that made that, 100 feet of main, which now he's agreed, okay, that can go away. And the reason that came up is the water department was concerned that even though this line has a backflow preventer on it, if that water line is never exercised, and it's exercised maybe once a year, if you get bacteria that builds up in there, and for some reason it gets behind the backflow preventer, you'd now be introducing that bacteria water into the water system, which is then drinkable, potable water. If it's 10 feet, it's going to have a lot less chance of being stagnant water over that length for that period of time.
So it's gonna be less material, basically.
It'll be less trench and then less 100 feet of pipe.
We'll wait and see then.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for us? Anything?
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
You too.
Let's hope for warmer weather.
Yeah.
That's what they are, yeah. Well, let's hope for
That last snowstorm was last.
another month of 40 degrees will be good.
Just an update, they did start pouring some of the walls. And
I
so,
saw there were footings in.
they just put in, they put a few. they
Walls
started-
today,
Walls.
a little bit of wall.
So are we seeing any construction delays based on weather so far? No?
We've built
I
the
like that
time, if you recall, we knew winter. We've built a couple of extra months in there that come January, February, if they need to shut down, or, you know, they can without really jeopardizing your schedule or putting them in a position where they have to start spending a lot of money on heated concrete and tents and those kind of things. Right now, if we get, you know, a couple more weeks of the 40-degree weather, he'll have the foundation walls in at the lower section and be able to start framing and work through the winter, which is what he's hoping to get out of it, which would then pick you up a couple of months. And you could be looking at, you know, July, August being done.
Great.
Thank you, Brian.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
there you go.
All right. Senior Center Design. Bob, you want to?
Yeah, I think that when we left the meeting last week, when we had the architect here, we had not come to any final conclusion as to whether we were hoping to build a one-story or a two-story building. I know that there was some dialogue going back and forth, and my hope tonight is to simply firm up which direction we're going. When I presented this whole proposal to the Council on Aging at their regular meeting a couple of days ago, they threw some thoughts and ideas out there and finally came up with a unanimous recommendation that they would prefer to have a one-story building. And a couple of the considerations that came into play were the fact that an elevator is potentially a lot of maintenance effort has to go into it each year. Inspections, whatever. And then, of course, whenever the elevator to the second floor is down, essentially the entire second floor is shut down completely, at least to those who have physical handicaps. A second item was the aesthetics of a two-story versus a one-story building on the site itself. And one of the neighbors told me that he wouldn't mind having a two-story building there at all. And the third item, the third aspect that was under consideration was the fact that we have to give away anywhere between 150 and 300 square feet of usable floor space for the elevator shaft and the stairwell. And that was something that we thought was quite considerable in light of the total footage on the building. And so with all of those options in mind, I would make a motion that we go ahead with the concept of a one-story building.
Somebody want to second it?
Second.
Now, discussion. I have the letter from John dated today says he still recommends a two-story. It was after Lisa's discussion that we take it. And then 12, Lisa's was, what was Lisa's?
He just, he sent that today at 9:12.
Well, Lisa's must have been earlier than that or something. Because he responded to Lisa. Thoughts?
Whenever I've gone against an architect's recommendation, it has not fared well. So, when you talked to the Council on Aging, did you relate all of the details of why the architect thought it should be two stories?
I
did mention the cost factor. Not knowing what it was, I simply stated that it was more expensive to build a one-story building than it was a two-story building because of the size of the foundation, size of the roof essentially. And I guess there's some economy in the sidewall, exterior walls as well on that. And aside from that, I don't think there was much else that I conveyed to them.
But the primary motivation from an architectural standpoint, other than cost, was the fact that they have to walk half as far for those that have a hard time getting around. So that was, I don't know if that was first motivation, second motivation, but it was certainly high.
I did mention that, and I mentioned that the size of the building that we're talking about now, 10-2, was right on the cusp of being the two-story or the one-story. Now, I think it was Reinhardt who was in here who offered an opinion that 18,000 was the place where you would definitely be looking at a two-story building. Reinhardt's not our architect. Our architect, of course, is Chapman over there.
The only problem I have is, this is the contract with the council agent wanted, wanted. And the thing, two things that stand in mind to me is the length of the building, which Ray pointed out. If you have to think, this downstairs here, this is a 10,000 square foot building. So if this was one level, that hallway would be twice as long. That's a long way. And the expansion, future expansion, you wouldn't be able, if it was one story, you wouldn't be able to expand.
Two things on the expansion, John, if I may.
Well,
I think
Actually, John Catlin mentioned that very point to me today on the phone, that it's, given the site constraints that we have, if we did a one-story, we would really not have much space left for an expansion of the building. With a two-story and only having a 5,000 square foot foundation area, it would be much easier to do future expansion if we needed to.
I think we should make it clear on that. Because we're not designing this building to
No,
talk about expansion.
No, I agree. It just,
I mean, if we're looking for expansion that we know about now, I mean.
I think that I've played with some building configurations, and this is back when, back before I was an advocate of your thinking that in my lifetime I'm never going to see this building expand. And if we built the building in kind of a V configuration, you can always go straight off the back of it with an additional, you don't have to go necessarily off the end of a one-story building. The entryway, as he presented it to us before, and if you go over to Northborough, that's a beautiful example of walking into a nice, big, airy area. And I stood there and I said, if they ever had to expand it, and that's 20,000 square foot building, I think, if they ever had to expand it, they could go right off the middle of it like that.
but the problem is, with sites back there, you have the hill back there, and you have wetlands.
Yeah, we have enough land so that we do have the capability of using some of it in the future if we have to. I don't think we're gonna be so close to the wetlands there that we couldn't put a 50-foot extension onto the back of that building. But I'm not advocating for us to be terribly concerned about putting an addition on in years to come.
I'm not either. The basic thing to me is the architect that we hired is recommending a two-story.
He's saying it could be less. He had he had other things. Some stairs are good for exercise, for the people that want to use stairs, they can. People that don't, there'll be an elevator. He brought up a couple of things.
Has the architect met with the Council on Aging to talk about the design?
No.
It seems to me that would be a meeting that would be very important to have.
He has met with Lisa and myself on 2 occasions prior to any of
It was the Council on Aging that has come up with objections to the architect's design. They voted unanimously, you said, against the design of the architect. So, and he hasn't even met with them to explain the design.
Well, that's not true, Phil. Lisa and I have met with him on 2 occasions to get initial background work that he could use to develop a building. I don't think we came away from here the other day with any conclusion as to which we want him to do. I think they made an assessment.
But he said in his email here that he's proceeding on a two-story design.
Now, he left here with a clear consensus to
Really?
go for a
Yeah.
two-story building, black and white.
I don't think it was a motion or a vote, we just.
It wasn't a motion, but that's,
No, but we said that we're at the point, I think I said, we're at the point now, we're only telling him. I mean, if he comes back in this, as far as I'm concerned, if he comes back in a two-story, it's a lot more expensive, then I would reevaluate.
That's what he was gonna, he was gonna get the cost of, because remember he had to get all the cost was, what do you call it? Yeah, estimated,
Estimate, yeah, he says,
how much it's gonna cost to,
he says, the
The
first
difference.
glance, it probably could be cheaper. But if it's much more expensive, then I would reevaluate. But then we'd have two.
Can I ask you a question? What about the surrounding towns? Do they have a two-story or one-story? Single.
Holyoke has a two-story.
Sterling is much smaller. That's
Smaller
a
one,
one-story.
yeah.
Sterling is talking about putting a second story on theirs. Oh my God, we don't even want to go there. And all of the ones I have been in,
How about Northborough?
no, that was the one I was just thinking, North Borough, yes, one story. Beautiful, wide open looking building, and admittedly, you know, if you have to walk or push a walker to the end of that building, it's a bit of a challenge.
May I just refer to his thing here? First, less roof and exterior wall area, the heating cooling cost would be much less. Less roof foundations in floor areas, reduce the construction costs. A smaller footprint would allow for expansion with less impact on the site. Impact on the site is important to some people in this town. We have an open space committee who are concerned about using some of that open space that isn't used up by the senior center. So it seems to me that Catlin is proceeding on the assumption that he's going to be able to deliver a design at lower cost than a single-story building, and he's working on a two-story building.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't need to think about the elevator, cost of elevator. Cost of elevator.
We always talk that we always get scared when we talk elevator, but we've had 2 or 3 architects that told us,
Not
don't get so nervous about it, they're only elevators.
an elevator is just a maintenance item, and, I mean, you gotta inspect it once a year, it's not the end of the world to do that.
It says every 2 years, 400, or every year, 100.
It's not the-
400, what's the difference?
It's not the old, it's not like the old days when you had the water-filled elevator, so everything is very well built, I mean, as far as the elevator. Well, I was, like I said, I just thought we had sent him on a thing. I would like to see what he comes up with for the cost of two-story, and see how much more, how much less it would be per square foot than a one-story. If there's a significant savings, I think we need to go back, talk to council about that. But if it's gonna be more money, then I wouldn't be in favor of it.
Can he give us just a cost without designing? Two-story.
That was one of the things he mentioned today, was that he needs some clear direction, because,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
for the remaining value of the schematic design that we've purchased, you know,
He's not gonna do both.
right.
He's not going to.
He's gonna want to come back and he's gonna want some more money from us. If he moves ahead and designs it now in one frame and then you
Two-story, then
change your
one-story.
mind, he's gonna want
More.
some additional compensation.
Yes, yeah, I'm done.
Is he gonna give us a cost estimate on the one story? Because who do we have to compare it to if he doesn't?
He's asking you to choose which you prefer.
So we're never gonna know if it's cheaper. We're only gonna.
Well, the year it cost us on one story, $400 a square foot.
Yeah, the question is, when he goes through this design process, is he just gonna throw $400 a square foot at it again? Or is he gonna do something more educated?
I think the square footage cost will probably stay the same. I think that extra factor that he added on for the circulation spaces, which I think was, what, 30%? He was saying he thought he could reduce it down to 20% with a two-story building, if I recall that conversation correctly.
And the square foot should not be be as much money, because, like I said, a small foundation, half the size of the foundation, you have the walls, you have half the size of the roof, the trusses, absolutely.
Yeah, you're gonna, there'll be offsetting costs because
Yeah.
it's two-story construction,
Yeah.
elevator.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he's weighing all those things out and he tells us that two-story is cheaper than 10,000 square feet. You have to assume he did pull that out of the hat.
I think putting all this aside, we hired this architect to give us his opinion. He's giving us his opinion clearly, what he thinks is the best for this property. And now we're considering saying,
What's your
we don't
thoughts?
like you first, we don't like you
You have
too.
me at a disadvantage. I've not seen his letter.
Oh,
But that fact notwithstanding, I don't think we are going to be handcuffed totally if we go to town meeting looking for architectural funding for either. Because once we get into the design, the ultimate design, we can see what has happened to our police station, how we were able to chew on these various items, and the police station that we're satisfied with bears little resemblance to what the first conceptual was that hit the floor. So I'm not that adamant about this to beat this thing to a Farley well. And I think I'd just like to go on record as passing on the Council on Aging's preference. And
Hey, you remember the Council on Aging?
yes, I am.
So you voted for one story,
I
because you
did.
said it was unanimous.
I did.
And your motivation was
These
there
three
something?
areas.
the elevator,
Yeah,
what else?
the whole maintenance and insurance issue, and that quite frankly, I'm not trying, I endorsed it. But it was Lisa's idea and recommendation to come up with that, and I very easily jumped on board with that.
To come up with what, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the whole elevator, annual maintenance costs, inspection costs, and if in fact the elevator is down, the second floor is, its utility is gone. And if it's down for, 2 or 3 days or whatever, conjure up in mind whatever on that. And then the other one was the aesthetics, and I was shot down by a good friend of mine on that today. But Ray and I discussed this, and he makes a very good point. He says, hey, it's my neighborhood. And I don't think a two-story building would look bad. Well, who better than somebody who lives
Most of the
there?
houses are 2 stories anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue.
So what was the insurance?
And then the third element was the square footage that we'd be giving up, functional square footage in the building that would be taken up by the elevator shaft and the stairway. If we put exterior stairwell on there, an exterior elevator shaft, we're still at our 8,500 square feet. And that issue would go away. I don't think that's practical.
I don't think so.
Well, we gave him the directive to end up with 8,500 square foot net.
Yeah,
That's,
that is exactly right.
so regardless of what happens with the elevator, he'll end up at 8,500 square foot net.
I hope you're right.
Well, that's what we told them in our last meeting.
Well, if we did it, we'll do it tonight. We'll send, we can send an email and say this is what we're looking at.
Yeah, Anita, is that's your recollection as well, as far as
It's
the
in, it's
directive?
in the draft minutes that I did from the
Okay.
last meeting.
So I would, as much as I hate to disagree with you, Bob, about the vote, I think we should go with the architectural suggestion to go with 2-story, go for plans, and like you said, at least get the drawings so we know what we're going on, and then we can go from there. But
Okay.
I would think, myself, I would think 2-story would be the
So
right.
is this, when you get the conceptual, when you want to go to the original architect, it's changeable?
What?
Can we change this? Yeah.
We could.
Yeah, Anita, can you kind of walk us through the sequence from here to the town meeting vote on funding?
Let's go back a little bit.
Sure. Well, so a schematic plan is meant to give the town a chance to go through the programmatic review to determine how many square feet you need for each program area. Administration area, multifunction meeting room, nurses station, library, whatever. So that part's been done, and that was that chart that he provided a couple of meetings ago. So now the rest of the schematic design is intended to provide a flexible floor plan and some elevations to give people a sense of what this design might look like and how it might fit on the space. Nothing at this stage in the design, nothing's cast in stone. If you go though to the end of a schematic design and you assume, say, a 2-story, and then you make a change and it's going to be 1-story, you might be adding some additional cost onto the full engineering and full design phase of the project, because there might be some additional engineering work needed for checking the soil samples in different sections of the site where you might need to expand the building out because of the larger footprint. So not cast in stone, but it may cost some additional cost during the next phase. So what we've discussed so far is that this is a schematic design phase, $10,000, and FISP has been talking about asking the Board of Selectmen to hold a special town meeting, special election in this winter. Most likely at this point it'll be sometime in February, I would assume. We haven't talked specific dates yet. So that would be to request the funds for the full design and the engineering work to get us to the point where we have an 80% design cost estimate. And then hopefully that will be all completed in time for an October town meeting where we would be looking for the construction funds for the building.
So my question is, if we say now the 2-story building, and then that's what we are going to say to the town meeting. So and then, turn around when we say, when the original architect comes in 1 story. Is that okay to say that?
I think if you feel like there's a chance that you'll be changing your mind, you need to be upfront about that and say,
That's what I'm saying.
At this point, this is what it looks like, but we may change the design, and the reason why we might change the design is for the following reasons.
So the reason why we are staying with this 2-story is just cheaper than 1 story?
Well, the architect recommends it because of the, he says it's
Letter.
a lot more accessible for people. So, right, you understand?
No, I totally understand.
Look the hallway down
I
there.
totally
The
understand
line.
everything, but just I'm asking, just clarification.
So,
So are we going to get into trouble? That's what I'm saying.
so I would just like some clarity on what changes. So ultimately, he's going through this process really to finalize how many square feet we need this building to be. And he's going to come up with a conceptual design, but it's nothing more than that. When the architect starts chewing on paper, it'll be whatever it ends up being. So from the standpoint of getting architectural bids, and you talk about core samples and whatnot, I'm assuming that's pre-construction phase.
You would do the engineering work, the soil samples, etc., before the architect starts really finalizing the design, because he needs to know exactly where on that site is this building going to be placed. And that decision is typically made after you've done some soil boring, so you know what the soils are, what the underground conditions are on the site.
So we could make that an add change thing in the bid for the architect if we want to cover it or something.
There's probably enough flexibility within that, yes, I mean, if we're changing and adding a little bit more scope of work in the next phase of the architect's contract, yes, you can amend that contract appropriately. But there's probably enough flexibility in terms of the language that the scope of work is.
Well, that has to go off the bid again too.
Yeah, it's,
We don't have to. We put the request for qualifications out for the architect so that we can continue with this architect if you choose to.
No, I'm a little bit, surprised. It's not giving us the comparison.
Give you what?
Giving us the cost comparison to 1 floor to 2 floor. That would be great if you could give us, not the drawing, just a comparison of the cost. Just for the 1 floor building to this 2 floor building. Is it too much?
Well, he gave us an estimate of $400 square foot though.
So then it's going to be the same thing. It's 400 means 10,000 square feet, 400 times.
We don't know that.
That's
He gave us a very rough cost estimate at the last meeting at the $400 per square foot. So the construction cost would be the $4,080,000.
agree. Is it for the 1 One,
This was assuming one story, at
yeah,
that time we were talking, and he said add 30% onto that, plus the cost of the OPM.
For softwares.
There was one point something million, and then another
It was
128,000.
right under 6 million.
Right,
So-
so the total project cost for that scenario was $5,426,400.
okay,
But he went on to say later that, that you could achieve some savings on a two-story building, and for the same reasons that he put into his letter today.
so we don't know that how much tax, we may only in designs if you know.
Is it practical to expect that he could give us that comparison without doing the design? It sounds to me like he just wants to apply X dollars per square foot against whatever it comes up with. Would we get that kind of an answer?
Well, we're gonna get that answer, we have a rough estimate here, and now we're gonna get an estimate on it.
He himself has pointed to cost savings between a two-story building and a one-story building.
But
Why
we don't
can't
know
we-
how much it is.
What was it? Why can't we go back to him and say, can you give us some sense of the magnitude of the cost, and the order of magnitude of the cost savings between a two-story building and a one-story building? And then another thing is, given the apparent dynamics that reside in going to town meeting with a two-story building, if subsequent to that, we decide it's gonna be a one-story building, they were in the same hopper that we were with the police station. That is, we're asking for more money, and that, I should suggest is not a good place to be.
So are we gonna have multiple architects bid this, I assume?
You don't have to. The way we put this out was that the work could continue with the same architect. But you don't have to stick with the same architect if you don't want to. We can cancel the contract and seek other qualifications from other contracts, other architects if you want to change.
Yeah, my understanding though was that we were gonna bid this out to have at least a price comparison between architects.
The RFQ that was put out allows for
I know it allows
continuation.
for it.
Yeah.
The next one.
Well, so, yeah, and so the concept phase is done, and then there's a concept package that can be bid on. Are you saying don't expect to go out and bid 3
That's-
contracts, or?
That's totally up to you. Typically, a community tries to stay with the same architectural firm, but if you're not happy with the way the architect is working with you, or if you have questions about process or whatever, you are certainly able to go out and seek qualifications from other architects for the full design phase and for contract administration.
I would assume we'd go all the bid only to keep it, make sure everybody's in the same ballpark.
Well, I think it's also seeing the leverage you've got with him to control pricing.
Well,
But that's gonna add time, and, I mean, to the point of when it's a special election, we go out for competitive bids.
we'll have to figure that out anyways.
But I mean, it's really a fundamental decision, we're gonna go out for competitive bidding or not.
I mean,
Please. Well, my only concern was, and that's the reason I thought there was an element of urgency to it, John, was that I would rather see him come in with a plan that we can fully endorse, as opposed to going to him, once that plan is on the table and saying, as Anita mentions, can you give us another one? Yes, sure, I can, for another $5,000 or $10,000. And I don't think that's money well spent, quite frankly.
I agree.
So, going back to what Phil said about just getting an estimate, the estimator for the 2 stories. Should we do that first before we decide, make a decision?
Well, maybe we can ask him, I don't know if we can answer that question in a vacuum.
What design first?
he might be able to give you a sense of savings, but not firm numbers. Because it would take him a lot of work to figure out the, a true number that he could, put his hat on. But, we could ask him for a sense of that, but that means that
Delay.
you're delaying your final vote, and he's looking for an answer tonight,
Right.
so that he can get moving on this, because we told him that we wanted to try to have a decision made for your next meeting, which was, what, January
January
5th?
Yeah.
So, but, you know, if you're not comfortable with that, you have time to, you know, get additional information from him and make that final decision on January 5th, but then you just need to give him a little bit more time to finish the design.
Maybe what we need to do is when we communicate to him, is to say, we want you to do the two-story building, whatever. Right? And you told us before that a one-story building would be approximately 400 square feet. That's $400 a square feet. So we already know that number, and we could ask him, is that number accurate for a one-story building? The number that you gave us, are you standing by that? And then give us the two-story building, and now we have at least some numbers that we can work with.
My biggest concern is doing two-story building, the council on aging doesn't support it. And the other people at town meeting don't support
I was gonna say the very same thing, are we gonna recreate the same
Right.
scenario from last time?
I tend to think not. And the reason I say that, and this is one man's opinion, is we're at 8,500 feet as opposed to a lesser number. 8,500 feet, two-story building, that's the way we're going to go. And I don't think anyone would be getting up saying, oh, we have to have a one-story building at 8,500 square feet. I think that they'd be whistling in the wind with that kind of an approach.
I think if that was to happen at the next meeting, I think we'd be in trouble.
it. So
For the next time we come back to
Yeah.
town meeting for.
I think, you know, we need to make sure.
I just,
One
the bottom
story
line
or
is,
two story.
the bottom line is we hired, we all voted for an architect to design us what he felt was needed in this town, the best cost, the best everything. And this guy comes out with a two-story building, and this is the first thing that he's come out and given us a decision,
Right.
his expert decision, and the first thing we're talking about is voting
Yeah.
against him. What's gonna happen when he says the room should be here? Is they gonna say, no, we think it should be there? I mean, I know some of that stuff can be moved, but we hired this guy, so do we need a motion?
Does somebody make a motion?
I don't know, if I think we just keep him in the same, but I think we're adding things to what we're asking him now, right? Not just a two-story building.
I think there's a motion already on the floor. I think
There
that
is,
would
it was-
clear
it
up
was-
that issue entirely.
We do have a motion on the floor
It wasn't
to go with
seconded.
the, right, it
Oh,
was seconded,
it
but
was
there's no
seconded.
vote
All
taken.
right, go the motion?
To go with the one-story building.
Yep.
That was the motion.
The motion is,
To go
One
with the
story.
one story.
All right, so any other discussion on that?
Is that the board wants to take some more time to decide, to get a sense from the architect? Whether he could give us a approximate.
Well, the architect, he wrote the
I
site
totally,
today.
no, I totally understand. The architect is for two-story, whereas the council on aging is for one-story. So we know the one-story building cost. So can we able to get the cost of the two-story building approximate? More or less 10% more here, up and down, you know, more or less.
so we would vote no on this motion, and then a new motion to get
We could
the
hold on.
work done on the two-story building.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm not suggesting that, I'm suggesting maybe hold on this. And then, is it possible to get it? That's my question.
If you delay this, then next time will be the January 5th, and then we're gonna have to vote whether one-story, two-story, January 5th.
I would presume if we're gonna try to go that route, we take a contingent vote, let Nita get a number for us, where we've pre-voted if,
Yeah.
in some fashion, that we can just go ahead and give them a go without having to get together.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be discussion. If he comes back with a number and it's 396, I mean, I don't know, 380, I don't know, people may still say it's only a little. I mean,
So why would you think, you know, that would be that much difference, you know, 5 million to 3-4 million?
No.
Like,
no, 390, I'm saying 390. I'm saying, no, we gotta take out the 5 million, because those other two numbers are gonna stay the same, they're a percentage.
Yeah.
So it's the 4 million, or 350 would be 3.5 million, or whatever the case is.
We have a civil engineer on the board, maybe we could answer.
I don't think we're talking any more than $50,000 difference, maybe $100,000 difference.
Yeah, I was gonna guess it, maybe a couple percent, best case
Yeah.
scenario.
But I'm even putting all of that money issue aside and saying that this is
What do you
his
recommend?
opinion.
And who,
Yeah, but, you know,
And this is
at the same time, he could be wrong, right?
Well,
right,
we all said
right,
it's
hired
true.
him.
Yeah, but still enough.
This is who the council on aging asked to be the architect, right?
Yes.
Yes.
At the same time.
And this is what he's recommending.
And he's designed so many buildings, and the first
He's
thing.
done like 40 buildings.
Well, I don't believe, I didn't come out of here last week with a firm belief that we were on to a two-story building.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, I heard the discussion, and then I'm saying, okay, well, I hear this. I said, okay, and all I'm trying to do tonight is clarify that, and I can get on the wagon, whatever it is, because I'll tell you, the debate that they're bringing on is 8,500 square feet.
well, that's the minimum we're gonna do, is 8,500 square feet. All right, so, let's vote on, Bob's motion, Raj seconded, is that right?
Yep, Raj seconded.
All right, all, yes, all vote yes.
Yes. What's,
All right, and,
to make it a one-story
yeah,
building.
make one story building.
So-
Yeah, minus, yes.
So, in Bob,
I have to vote yes.
okay, anybody else? Nay, anybody said no?
Nay.
Nay, me too. All right, so that is
So there's what, 2 to,
2 to 5. 2 to 5. Right. All right, so now, in motion to make it a two-story building.
Well,
As
do we need a motion to make a two-story building, because it's a directive that's already been given?
I think he's looking for a firm decision, firm recommendation.
He wants to see it,
Yeah.
right?
So this is the only problem I'm going to see. So now if we say two-story buildings, and then we will be asking the town, two-story building. And this is going to be the architectural plan, we need this much money. Then we change it to one story, then we'll have a problem. That's how I look at it.
Okay, but again, this is the architect that we picked, and he's recommending this.
Yeah, but at the same time, the council on aging is not for this. They are the one going to live there, right?
Well, how many members on the council on aging?
5.
5 members, so, no, they're not gonna live there. They're gonna use the building like the other 3,000 over 50-year-olds in town are gonna use the building.
All right,
I mean, and I think we're charged to do what we think is best.
Absolutely.
so do we hear a motion for two-story building?
Yeah, I make a motion for, that we move forward with a design for a two-story building with the usable square feet of 8,500.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Suppose.
Right. Opposed. Okay. All right, anything else we discuss?
And the meeting is still,
January
he's
5th.
feels still, he's still comfortable with it.
That's, but he's comfortable as long as he gets a decision first thing tomorrow morning. He just needed to know it so he could get moving.
You got it.
Anita, in one house, you've been notably quiet in this discussion. What's your opinion?
Good now.
You don't get off that
I think the vote's over.
Notice how attentive
easy.
we
Maybe
are.
that was a little out of order.
I will say that I have worked in enough town halls that have elevators to know that they can at times be problematic. They do have an operational expense to them. However, when you look at the other side of it, it's true that when you have a two-story building, your circulation space is so much less. So if you're looking to try to net 8,500 square feet of usable space, you can get that easier in a two-story building for a cheaper price. You'll have a smaller footprint, it'll be easier for people to move around. I just have concerns about how we handle it on those days when the elevator's not working. I mean, in communities that are open-minded and cooperative, and the elevator's not working, people are fine, okay, well, we'll have the functions on the first floor today. There's some communities where they're gonna say, you know, shut the building down, it's not handicapped accessible, you can't use the building.
Well, they still have rooms downstairs.
They have rooms downstairs.
We've been here now for how long in this building?
Yes.
3
How many-
years.
3 years.
3 years.
How many times have we turned the elevator off? because
I'm
it's
not
broken?
aware that we've had any issues with this elevator.
And this isn't brand
Yeah,
new.
and that
At the
was-
same time, we
that
are
was-
not using this elevator you know, once in a while.
But John Catlin would say you won't use the elevator too much in
Says
the
people
senior
like to
center
use the
either,
stairs.
because most
No.
people prefer to use stairs, except for those people who are truly,
Wheelchairs or walkers.
you know, have
Why would we use
the
them?
physical concerns.
And you're gonna have a brand new elevator, it's not gonna be, this elevator is 2000, this is 11 years old.
Yeah, and no, the library doesn't tend to have that much of issues on it.
The what?
Well,
The what doesn't?
The
library.
library,
Oh, no.
I've never heard Andy say that's a problem.
Anything else to discuss?
You can say that. Throw it away.
Motion,
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
That would be what.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.